The night before the wedding, Ricardo's ex-girlfriend called. I've taken something. It'll kick in within 30 minutes. If you don't come, I'll sleep with another man. I grabbed Ricardo and warned him coldly. If you walk out that door, I'll ruin you. He shoved me to the ground in a hurry. Don't talk nonsense. I sneered and dialed the number of his worst enemy. Are you free the day after tomorrow? Let's get married. He answered, wait for me. I'll steal a family register. Chapter 1. Exactly at 10 o'clock that night, the doorbell rang urgently in the living room. I looked up from the documents and glanced toward the bathroom. Ricardo was still in the shower. We had no secrets between us and often checked each other's phones. Besides, the wedding was the day after tomorrow. We were legitimate. Thinking that, I picked up Ricardo's phone without hesitation. The call was still active. It was an unknown number. When I answered, heavy metal music blasted through the speaker, making me frown. Probably a wrong number, I thought. I was about to hang up when a tearful female voice stopped me. Ricardo, I regret everything. You're marrying Olivia just to get back at me. You're only going to hurt two girls at once. Will you propose to me again? This time I'll say yes. I'll be your wife. After that, the background noise disappeared and both lines fell into dead silence. While she held her breath nervously, to me it was simply ridiculous. An ex calling the night before her ex's wedding. Trying to reignite the flames of the past. How shameless. How twisted. More absurd still, Ricardo once said he had never loved anyone. With the phone in my hand, my eyes returned to the documents, but I could no longer read. Who was he, really? Ricardo came out toward me, a towel wrapped around his waist as he dried his hair. I stared at him and, under his confused gaze, I put the call on speaker. Ricardo, I'm at Club Zone A right now. I've drugged myself. If you don't come in 30 minutes, I'll find another man to fix this. Ricardo froze, towel suspended in midair, panic flashing across his eyes. He snatched the phone and hung up. I watched him coldly, memorizing every detail of his panicked expression. Surely some sick prank from Pablo. He's trying to mess with me. Don't worry. Don't answer unknown numbers again. Within seconds Ricardo regained his composure. Go to sleep. It's our last night of freedom. The bachelor party may run late. As he spoke, Ricardo went into the dressing room. I leaned against the doorframe with my arms crossed. Ricardo was known for being meticulous. Every outfit had to match with perfectly coordinated cufflinks and pins. Even each strand of hair had its place. But now, without even looking, he grabbed two mismatched pieces and put them on. If you're going to lie, at least do it properly. Do you think I'm stupid? Pablo has a cast on his left leg and is still in the hospital. He posted it on his WeChat moments. And I haven't heard a single word about a bachelor party. Yet just now you get a flirty call and run off to your drugged ex? I looked at him icily. My voice cold, arms crossed. Caught in his lie, Ricardo's expression grew uneasy. After a long pause, he forced a reply. I'll explain everything when I get back. I can't let her fall like this, especially because of me. I'll take her to the hospital and return immediately. I won't miss tomorrow's wedding. Ricardo moved past me, but I grabbed his arm, my eyes sharp. If you go, I'll ruin you. We froze in place. Then his phone rang again. This time it was a staff member. Is this Mr. Ricardo? Your friend? He. Stop undressing. Ricardo held his breath and tore his arm free from my grip. Stop talking nonsense. Everything happened so fast. I stumbled and hit the floor hard. My arm scraped and blood began to bead. I clenched my teeth. Ricardo, he turned as if to help me up, but his phone buzzed desperately in his pocket. In the end, he headed straight for the door and grabbed the keys. He left behind just one phrase, the first aid kit is in the left cupboard. Take care of that. I'll be back soon. And with that, Ricardo was gone. I looked at my bleeding arm and my eyes turned cold. I picked up my phone and called Ricardo's worst enemy. Claude, keep your schedule clear the day after tomorrow. Let's get married. There was a long silence, then a strong curse on the other end. Damn it. Wait there. I'll steal a family register right now. Chapter 2. Claude hung up without hesitation after agreeing. Half an hour later he appeared downstairs at my building. When he saw me, his eyes went straight to my wound. He frowned involuntarily, though quickly smoothed it out. Then, with a lazy tone, he said, I thought you'd ask why you changed grooms. Or maybe cling like glue with sharp questions. I was ready for his mockery. But he took a completely unexpected path. At the traffic light intersection. After Claude glanced at me sideways for the 8th time, I couldn't stand it anymore and shot him a glare. If you have something to say, spit it out. If you're going to fart, do it already. Don't play games. How rude, Claude muttered. I was just curious, which hospital are we going to? Your Highness? I was speechless as he kept talking casually. What if we go to City A instead? While they still think you're the boss's future wife. Better to take advantage, don't you think? I had no words. Just then the light turned green and the car slipped into traffic. Watching the streets retreat past the window, I licked my dry lips. Suddenly I spoke, "When we arrive, give me a streaming link." "I'm going live." Claude, one hand on the wheel, grabbed a bottle of milk from the car with the other and tossed it onto my lap. Asking lazily, "For a small matter? Are you going to announce our love to the world?" My lips curved into a faint smile, cold as ice. "I'm going to expose a cheater." The wound was quickly bandaged. By the time we left the hospital, it was nearly midnight. Claude wasted no time and drove me straight to the Zone A club. As if afraid I might change my mind if he was even a minute late. Thanks to my status as the future wife of the boss, we got Ricardo's room number without trouble. I started a live stream and followed him into the elevator. The moment the doors opened, the scene inside was as ambiguous as the sounds were familiar. Ricardo's ragged breathing filled the air. "Luna, stop. I'll take you to the hospital." So his ex's name was Luna. I thought I was calm, but my trembling hands betrayed the chaos inside me. From behind, Claude reached out and steadied my phone with a protective gesture. On the screen, Luna leaned weakly against Ricardo's chest, panting and laughing. "I knew you would come. I knew you couldn't forget me. When I saw you were going to marry, I went crazy. I dropped everything, even the competition, and ran back to the country. You're marrying that Olivia because she has the same lips as me. Because she likes painting. Because she loves musicals." She paused, then smiled arrogantly. "Admit it, you've always loved me, and I love you too." Ricardo said nothing. He simply wrapped an arm around her waist, shoved her against the wall, and kissed her with fury. Darkness suddenly blocked my view. Claude had leaned down to my ear and whispered, "Don't look. It's trash." He closed the stream, where the comments were already on fire, and gently led me out. The hallway was brightly lit, and the indignation on Claude's face was clearer than daylight. He cursed under his breath, angrier than I was. I couldn't help but laugh, and at the same time, a strange warmth bloomed in my chest. I patted his shoulder. "Why get mad? Let the bullet fly a little longer." Chapter 3. Everyone in the circle knew Claude and Ricardo fought whenever they met, but no one knew why. They only knew Ricardo was always the perfect son. One day, he had Claude scolded by his family. The next day, Claude beat him bloody himself. So when Claude appeared as the groom at the wedding, the room fell into stunned silence. "Do I have to announce the order of events too?" Claude raised a brow with a mocking smile at the master of ceremonies. "Ah, here comes our bride." I slipped the ring onto Claude's finger. When it was his turn, the doors of the hall opened. I thought it was Ricardo, but it was Pablo on crutches. In a flash, Claude slid the ring onto my finger at lightning speed, as if terrified of some soap opera-style drama unfolding. I had to drag my gaze away from the door and found myself staring into laughing eyes. "Wasn't this supposed to be your wedding with Ricardo?" After the ceremony, Pablo approached me, still looking incredulous. I said, "Ricardo is busy. Maybe he's still in bed with his ex." My face smiled, but my eyes were cold. "That's impossible," Pablo blurted. "Everyone knows how much Ricardo cares about you. Last year when you were kidnapped, he gave up his chance to escape so you could get away. He's been in love with you for a long time. Back in sophomore year, when you went abroad, Ricardo kept making excuses to visit. He was worried you wouldn't adapt to the food there, so he learned to cook. And he only cooked for you." I had no desire to revisit the past, so I cut him off sharply. "He gave me the chance to escape because his leg was broken. I was the only one who could get help. Those work trips? They were because Luna was in that country. I was just the excuse. And about cooking, hasn't cooked 10 times in all these years. For me? Which part of me?" My voice turned colder. "I did plenty of stupid things for him too. So don't try to guilt me with your moral games." Since childhood, I had been Ricardo's little lapdog. In high school, I skipped classes for him and threatened any girl who got close to him. I gave so much of myself that I neglected my studies. My family, sick of watching me waste away, sent me abroad. I didn't return until university. I didn't want to talk anymore. I simply played the recording from last night from the moment I opened the hotel door to the ambiguous gasps inside. Pablo fell silent and left in shame. Chapter 4. Luna's reappearance was like claws tearing through Ricardo's glossy facade, exposing the rot beneath. That night, after showering, I lay in bed in silk pajamas, staring at my phone while my best friend messaged me. "You have no idea how satisfying it is watching him get destroyed online. Ku's stock prices crashed. But tell me, how did you end up with Claude? And why did he agree to help you? Did you two already sleep together?" I typed quickly. "They're arch enemies. Of course he'd enjoy tormenting the Ku family. We're just acting." How could it be real? But I didn't send it. A hand reached down from above my head and took the phone away. I turned and found Claude completely naked, looming over me. He slid a finger across the screen, glanced at the message briefly, and tossed the phone aside. Then he lowered his head, eyes locked on me, one brow slightly arched. From my angle, I could see his sharp jawline, the curve of his Adam's apple, his firm chest, and his sculpted abs. Any lower, and I quickly averted my gaze, embarrassed. I tried to stay calm, cleared my throat, and stammered, you still have water drops on me. But as I moved, the silk fabric of my pajamas slipped, baring my white shoulder and much of my chest. Claude's eyes darkened instantly. He grabbed my wrists and pinned them to the headboard. Who said this was just acting? Now behave. Endure it. I felt like a small boat tossed about in the middle of the ocean, rising and falling with the waves. After the frenzy, exhaustion overtook me and I drifted into sleep. When the phone rang, I was barely conscious. From a distance, Ricardo's furious roar seemed to thunder through. Touch her and I'll kill you. Claude. Chapter 5. The day after the wedding, I was shaken awake. Opening my eyes, the first thing I saw was a magnified face inches from mine. I startled so badly I jerked, tugging at the sore spots from last night. Pain twisted my expression as if I had bitten into a lemon. Don't move, he said softly. Let me massage you. In the silent bedroom I lay face down, my face buried in the pillow. Claude said nothing either, but his hands pressed with just the right strength. In that atmosphere, sleepiness threatened to overtake me again. Darling, don't fall asleep. We've got something urgent today. His husky voice by my ear sent shivers all the way to my scalp. Not to mention the way he started biting my ear. The chaotic scenes from last night crashed into my mind and I jolted, gritting my teeth. Let go, and don't call me that. All right, wife, Claude replied, switching tones so naturally that I began to wonder if everything before had been just a trap. Then I remembered. Shouldn't you be at work? Claude was dressed in a white shirt and black suit trousers. Broad shoulders and narrow waist. Like a runway model. He glanced at me sideways. Did you already forget what you promised me last night? His assault had been so relentless that I had surrendered the city and signed an unequal treaty. Get dressed. We're going to the civil registry. That's right, last night Claude had forced me to accept marrying him officially. From the beginning I had made it clear this wedding was only a cooperative arrangement. That he didn't need to steal any family register. Claude accepted so quickly it made me suspicious. Now, sitting in the car, I felt like prey caught in a hunter's carefully laid trap. With 40% doubt, 30% astonishment, and 30% confusion, I asked him, don't tell me you're actually in love with me. Of course. Did you just realize? Claude's calm answer left me speechless. After all, Claude Song was no ordinary man. He wasn't even recognized as an illegitimate son until high school. Everyone said the Song family would give him a small sum at 18 and throw him out. And yet, on the very day he turned 18, that despised boy seized full control of the Song family. Whatever he said, it was better not to dwell on. I repeated to myself again, don't be naive. Chapter 6. Claude went to park the car while I waited at the entrance of the civil registry. The sun beat down harshly, and the already unbearable heat became suffocating with Ricardo's arrival. He looked visibly haggard, and though he had put on foundation, the dark circles beneath his eyes still showed. Luna clearly knew how to torment him. When he saw me, Ricardo's lifeless eyes suddenly lit up as if life had been injected back into him. I laughed bitterly inside, turned on my heel, and tried to avoid this parasite. But his steps closed in quickly. Damn it, of all days I had to wear heels. He caught up easily, grabbed my wrist, and pleaded in a low voice. Olivia, I know I made a terrible mistake. If I kneel right here, will you forgive me? He looked at me with desperate hope. Then kneel. His grip was too strong to shake off, so I went along with his words and nodded. My answer was so firm that Ricardo froze for a moment. I lifted his chin. Go on, kneel. The way he looked at me was full of passion. Olivia, if I kneel, will you really forgive me? If you're going to do it now. Or do you think I'll feel sorry for you? My patience snapped. I pried his fingers off with disgust etched across my face. You're stickier than used gum. Trash belongs in the trash can. Not out here polluting the air. Ricardo had always liked sweet, obedient girls, and for years I had tried to be exactly that for him. Looking back, what a pathetic joke. The more I resisted, the tighter Ricardo's grip became. He tried to pull me into a forced embrace, the way he used to make me surrender. But the moment he moved, Claude appeared out of nowhere and punched him hard, knocking him to the ground. His eyes blazed like a furious dragon whose treasure had been stolen. What the hell is wrong with you, filthy toad? How dare you lay your dirty hands on my wife? A real man. I almost cheered out loud. Claude was so fast that Ricardo could only bite his swollen cheek in frustration. Rage filled his eyes as he glared at Claude. "Wife, take care of him," Claude muttered, still clutching the registration papers in his hand. He passed them to me without a single crease. I stood there stunned. By the time I looked down, the two of them were already entangled like wild beasts. Luna arrived just as Ricardo's face was covered in blood. Her heart seemed to shatter as she immediately pointed a finger at me. "Miss Moo, are you happy watching two great men fight over you? Does it boost your ego? Ricardo was only with you because you harassed him. He couldn't pursue his true love and lived tormented day after day. Now that he's finally free, why are you tormenting him again? Does it hurt you to see him happy?" Today Luna wore a long white dress that matched her saintly innocent face. She looked like a delicate yet resilient flower. I heard the murmurs of the crowd around us and saw how Luna secretly curled her lips in satisfaction, wearing an expression of fake disappointment that only fueled my curiosity. What right did Luna have to lecture me about morality, as if she were some frustrated mother? Chapter 7. You speak so well. Were you the founder of the debate league? You got a scholarship from my family to study. And right before my wedding you climbed into bed with my fiancé. And now you dare to slander me in public? Your face is thicker than any wall. May all your wishes come true. Every year my family donated a large sum to charity. Back in high school my mother decided to sponsor one extra student. She said I would have many things in common with that girl since we shared similar interests. I never imagined that person would be Luna. And now I understood that everything, the painting, the musical, had been planned by her. But if I went abroad in high school, how did she know so much about me? Miss Moo, I know you despise the poor. You're so used to being praised that you can't tolerate hearing the truth. But this is too much. You can't just slander me like that. Luna's indignant voice pulled me back to the present. I looked closely at her. Her eyes were already brimming with tears. We gave you a scholarship to study, not to become the other woman and steal what wasn't yours. I stopped Claude, who was ready to pounce on her, and gently touched the bruise at the corner of his mouth. "We won't be filming today. Let's go home." As we passed Ricardo, he still hadn't given up. With a hoarse, trembling voice he pleaded, "Olivia, I'm hurt, it hurts." If this had been before, I would already be at his side, worried and crying as I treated his wounds. Just like that New Year's Eve when he drunkenly hit his head on the table. I had run for the first aid kit and tended to him while scolding. "You know you can't handle pain and yet you don't take care of yourself? Serves you right." Outside, the lights of thousands of homes had lit up the night, and inside, it was just the two of us in a warm world of our own. I had asked softly, "Does it hurt?" "Yes," he had answered. And that cold Ricardo had smiled weakly, lowering his guard with me. He always knew how to soften me, but things had changed. "Ricardo, you make me sick. Still trying to play the victim? Didn't you hear your lover say I abuse her? At the very least you slept with her last night, can't you even protect her?" Claude cut in with a smile. Because things given freely never carry the same weight as things won through effort. Faced with my indifference, Ricardo clenched his teeth and shifted tactics. "Claude Song, do you dare tell Olivia how you really seized control of the Song family? Do you dare tell her how cold and ruthless you are? That you even used your own mother and the grandmother who raised you?" Slap. I struck him across the face. Only after hitting him did I feel the relief flow through me, finally letting go of all the suffocating pressure. Ricardo stared at me as if he couldn't believe it. I didn't think too much about it. I just knew I couldn't let him keep talking. I looked at Claude, whose face had gone pale as if trapped in some dark abyss. And I grabbed his hand, dragging him away. What Ricardo said, who cared? In the car, silence reigned. I wanted to pull him out of that shadow, but I realized I didn't know much about him. I had only returned to China in college, and since then I had only chased Ricardo. With Claude, I had barely crossed paths at parties or school hallways. "A drink? I'll join you." "Sorry." We spoke at the same time. At the traffic light Claude turned his head, smiling faintly. My plan was for us to go home and rest after registering. But of course, I didn't check the lunar calendar. "Shouldn't have woken you up." No comment. "I'll take you home to rest." If he wanted to act indifferent, I wasn't about to cling either. At the end of the day, our relationship was nothing more than a mutual agreement. That night Claude returned very late. When he opened the door and saw me still awake, he was surprised. "Were you waiting for me?" I shot him a look and closed my laptop after saving some documents. His hair was damp, smelling of shower mixed with alcohol and tobacco. I pointed at him. "You stink. You're not sleeping in my bed tonight." He leaned against the doorframe and chuckled lightly. "Relax, I just came to inform you. I have to make an unexpected business trip. I'll be gone for a week." Chapter 8. Ever since Claude left for his trip, my life had been more or less the same. The only nuisance was Ricardo. I don't know what he was on, but he abandoned his company and came to wait for me downstairs every day. That day, I left work as usual. The moment I stepped out of the parking lot elevator, someone suddenly grabbed my hand. I nearly had a heart attack. It's me, Olivia. Ricardo's eyes scanned me from head to toe with hungry desire. What the hell do you want now? I shouted, furious. If I'd once had even a shred of goodwill toward him, now I wished I had a katana to slice him into pieces. If Ricardo came, I'd cut him down. Olivia, I know you and Claude are just pretending. You're doing it to take revenge, to make me jealous. Forget what happened between us. We can start over, alright? Looking at Ricardo now, so different, I didn't know whether to laugh or spit in his face. Let's be clear, the one who cheated was you. Claude and I are husband and wife. Sleeping together is the most natural thing in the world. Alright, don't get mad. Ricardo smiled indulgently, looking at me as if I were a spoiled child. I just came to warn you. Claude's company has run out of cash flow. Be careful, don't let him use you. This time he was quick. He finished speaking and left. I sat in the car for a long time, turning over his words. Claude had left so hastily that night he barely packed. When he left, I remembered him saying over the phone, "Stop him." The Song family once had both legal and illegal ties. Now they seemed clean, but who knew what lay beneath? Thinking about it all gave me a headache. After days of sleepless nights, I finally closed a deal with foreign clients. All that was left was to sign the contract. On second thought, I asked my assistant to put me down as the one traveling. Running away isn't glorious, but it's effective. I had a wonderful few days abroad. Claude texted me saying he postponed his return. I ignored him. Even when I arrived at the airport, I still felt I needed more time to relax. My assistant returned earlier and said the driver was already waiting. But when I got in the car, something felt off. Chapter 9. Stop the car. I want to buy something. Just ahead was the fork between the road to the company and the countryside. By the side of the road there was a small shop. The driver ignored me. "Miss Moo, please stay seated." Through the rearview mirror I saw he was wearing a mask. His eyes held a subtle warning. A chill shot down my spine. I sat up straight without protest. A kidnapping. Facing it head-on would be a mistake. Were they after me? Or trying to threaten Claude? After all, our wedding had been a grand event. And in the world of business, it's impossible not to make enemies. All my thoughts vanished when I saw Luna. A mix of laughter and resignation washed over me. "I looked into you. You have talent for art, and your tutor holds you in high esteem. You had a brilliant future. Was it really worth staining your life over a man? Breaking the law?" I was tied to a column. My arms bound behind me, trying to reason with Luna. But a woman in love thinks with a different kind of logic. She pressed a blade against my cheek. "You don't understand. Your parents love each other, your family is harmonious, and they spoiled you like a princess. You studied in an elite school with the best resources. I had to rely on your family's charity to learn English, listening to old recordings you donated. You shone so brightly. I remembered in my first year there had been a program where students with the best pronunciation were chosen to record educational videos that were sent to rural schools. With devices included. It was both training for us and good publicity for the institution. I had been chosen to record. So from then on, she had already noticed me. Luna lifted her hand in front of me and forced my eyes open. "See these rough hands? Who would believe they belong to a young girl? Poverty only breeds resentment." When I was half dead from a beating, it was Ricardo who saved me. At that moment, he was like an angel. A perfect man who didn't flinch at my filth, who treated me gently and asked if it hurt. That day I swore I would be the woman by his side. I didn't know whether to feel pity for her or disgust. The rest I could imagine. Luna was admitted to school because of her grades. Researched me and Ricardo since we had been childhood friends. First she imitated the way I spoke and acted to catch Ricardo's attention. Then gradually became herself again until she had him completely. With that ability, why didn't you do something better with your life? Luna let out a disdainful laugh. Men don't like strong women. But you are what I hate most. Her words dripped with venom. Ricardo ran from his wedding with you. You're no longer pure. You don't even treat him well. Why does he keep coming back to you? What witchcraft did you use to have him like this? Because he's an idiot, I replied without hesitation. I thought Luna would refute me with how much she seemed to love him. But instead she froze for a second, then burst into laughter. She laughed until she cried. "You're right, he's an idiot. But even so, I can't accept it. So I prepared a game." The twisted smile on her face sent chills through me. She pulled out a remote control and pressed a button. Half of the platform I stood on cracked open. revealing its true form, a warehouse built above the sea. If she pressed the button again, I would plunge straight into the water with my hands tied. There would be no way to survive. I want to see, between you and me, who Ricardo chooses. Chapter 10. Luna had gone insane. I saw her approach with the remote in hand while the creaking wooden floor beneath me wavered dangerously. In that moment, I truly wanted to kill Ricardo. To hell with his reckless flirting. To hell with his twisted game of choose who lives. To hell with all the lunatics. All I wanted was for my assistant to realize something was wrong and call the police. Time dragged slowly. I breathed deeply to stay calm. Luna, let me go. I swear I'll stay away from Ricardo. I can help you become Mrs. Ku. Look at you, still speaking from your pedestal. Luna didn't take the bait. Her laughter echoed through the empty warehouse, raising goosebumps on my skin. If Ricardo chooses me, then you die. If he chooses you, then I'll go to hell with you. You're insane, I muttered. Suddenly, hurried footsteps echoed from the entrance. A spark of hope lit in my eyes. I fixed my gaze on the first person to appear. The warehouse door burst open. It was Ricardo, and my hope died instantly. Wife. My emotions rose and fell like a roller coaster, more intense than ever before. But then, in my ears, Claude's voice sounded like heavenly music. Claude, my eyes shone the moment I saw him enter. The moment Claude stepped inside, Luna pressed the knife harder against my neck, screaming hysterically, all because Claude wasn't alone. He came with more than a dozen bodyguards. Make them leave. Everyone get out, her shrill voice cracked. If you touch me, I swear even if I'm dead, I'll have your corpse dragged out and whipped. Ricardo frowned and stepped forward. Luna, let Olivia go. I'll go with you and turn myself in to the police. I wanted to shove Ricardo's head into the sea. Did he really want to keep provoking Luna? And why did I have to pay for his stupidity? As expected, Luna pressed the knife harder. Pain seared my neck and my vision blurred. I saw Claude's eyes turn blood red. He spun sideways and with a single kick sent the hulking driver nearly 2 meters tall crashing to the ground. The blow was so brutal that sweat instantly beaded across the man's forehead. Luna's face turned blue with rage. Mr. Song, in the end, I was the one who played matchmaker for you too. Is this how you repay me? You? Matchmaker. Claude shot me a reassuring glance before turning his gaze on Luna. His eyes were like those of a corpse, cold, lifeless. What do you mean by that? Ricardo, don't play dumb. Catch him. Seize him, Luna screamed. But Claude's bodyguards were already in position. At his command, they closed in, surrounding Ricardo. He didn't even have time to react. You never thought that one night of lust would bring all the Ku family's filth into the light. So you diverted funds to choke off my capital flow. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Ruin me, and win back Olivia while patching the Ku family's financial hole. Claude pressed Ricardo's chin down with the sharp tip of his polished shoe in a humiliating gesture. But you never counted on Olivia slipping through your fingers. So you sent Luna to kidnap her so you could swoop in and play the hero. With a life debt, even if you couldn't control her, at least you could secure your own salvation. Isn't that right, young Master Ku? Claude looked down at him, his voice sharp as blades. His words struck me like a hammer, jolting my consciousness. Of course. There are people without hearts. They don't love you, but for convenience, they'll cling to you, drain your blood, devour your flesh, and once you're useless, toss you aside like trash, yet still they shine as if nothing happened. Both Luna and we were nothing but pawns on Ricardo's chessboard. Chapter 11. I glanced sideways at Luna. She stared at Ricardo with eyes full of obsession, and suddenly her gaze shifted. A dry crack rang out in the warehouse. Ricardo's arm had been dislocated. Yes, I had bad intentions, Luna snapped. But can you say you've been fair to Olivia? To win her, you betrayed her. You plotted for her fiancé to sleep with another woman before the wedding. You knew she was in danger and did nothing. All for your own gain. How noble is your love compared to mine? Deep down, I had already suspected it. I carried a tracker, but Claude hadn't been given that information. And still, he found me before the police did. But I couldn't speak now. I saw a bodyguard inching closer to me, just a step away from subduing Luna. But that step was spotted by Ricardo. He shouted, "Luna, press the button." Luna stood on the broken platform. If she pressed it again, both of us would fall into the sea. And Ricardo didn't care if she died. But Luna was already too far gone. At his command, she obeyed without hesitation. I screamed instinctively as the world tipped and saltwater surged into my mouth. The waves wrapped around me, dragging me down. Just before I fell, I caught the terror in Claude's eyes. The air fled from my lungs, my body at its limit. I thought I was going to die. My mind spun with memories like a carousel. I saw a dilapidated house filled with chaos and noise. A boy in a blue and white school uniform stood still in that wreckage, looking clean, different. He watched an old, sick woman lying on the bed with sadness in his eyes. I felt pity and reached out to pat his shoulder. The scene shifted. We were in a hospital. The boy sat outside an operating room, his face buried in his hands, drowning in despair. When the doctor came out and urged calm, he raised his face and I recognized him. It was Claude as a teenager. It turned out I had known him long before I thought, only I had forgotten. I remembered a conversation with my best friend in high school. When she mentioned the Song family had acknowledged an illegitimate son. She said that to please them, that son had beaten and driven away his biological mother when she came looking for him. I never paid attention, but all along it was him. Through the dizziness, I saw a silhouette dive into the water. Someone was swimming toward me. My vision blurred, I couldn't make out the face. But when his lips touched mine and familiar air filled my lungs, I knew. It was Claude. Chapter 12. When I opened my eyes, the blinding white light of the room greeted me. I closed them again for a moment until the dizziness passed. I heard the door open and felt someone sit by my bed. Olivia, you've been asleep for 3 days. Keep this up and you'll turn into a little piglet. Claude took my hand and pressed it against his cheek. In my mind, I was cursing him up and down. The doctor said if you slept more than 4 days, they'd shave your head for a brain scan. He sighed. And you, who love your hair more than me, I'd say. But don't worry. Even bald, I'll still love you. At that, I snapped my eyes open and clenched my teeth. Don't you dare. So you're not pretending anymore? I saw the mockery in his gaze and realized I'd fallen right into his trap. All the tests had been done the first day I was admitted. I shot him a death glare. He chuckled softly, then wrapped me gently in his arms. The gesture was tender, solemn. Thank God you're all right. Thank God. His voice trembled as if he had just regained something priceless. And with that embrace, all the anger in my chest melted away. Fine. Just for diving into the sea to save me, this man deserved a chance. He told me Luna had died in the ocean, though her body was never recovered. Ricardo, on the other hand, was sentenced for embezzlement and kidnapping. One more criminal, one less man on the street. They uncovered more crimes, would likely spend the rest of his life in prison. Chapter 13. But Claude still had to answer for allying with Luna to trap me. After I recovered, I moved back to my parents' house. Since then, Claude's routine included one more stop every afternoon after work. He came to stand at my door. My mother gave me a light smack on the back of my head. It didn't hurt, but I rubbed it anyway. I told you not to sit like that. What kind of lady sits cross-legged like a man? Your father and I think Xiao Shu is a good boy. Even if his methods are strict, if they weren't, we'd be more worried. So don't ruin it with your nonsense. My mother sat beside me, and I popped a strawberry into her mouth. She didn't know about Claude and Luna, and I had no intention of telling her. The truth was, Claude had made mistakes, but I wasn't innocent either. When I began to suspect, I chose to ignore it to protect my own interests. Because that contract with the foreign clients, I achieved it thanks to the drive I felt at his side. It's just about balance. One thing is showing pride, another is sitting idly waiting for a pedestal. Besides, I touched my belly. I pulled a folded paper from my bag. Relax. It won't slip away from me this time. My mother snatched it instantly and read it carefully. Her smile grew and grew until she burst with joy, shouting at the top of her lungs without any decorum. Old Moo, your daughter is pregnant. She ran off, calling Claude to come in. She had already told him everything along the way. The moment Claude stepped through the door and saw me, he couldn't contain himself. Wife, stop right there. I looked up and halted him. My mother had already gone upstairs to fetch my father. It was just him and me in the living room. I wasn't planning to forgive you, but for the baby's sake, I think we can try to get along. We can live like a normal couple, but we're not getting legally married. Claude froze for a second. Why not? Because I'm afraid you'll hit me. I answered calmly. Property can be protected with a prenup. But if we marry and you hit me, it's domestic violence, and much harder to defend myself against. Claude didn't know whether to laugh or cry. What kind of nonsense is that? I'm not violent. You can't guarantee that, I shot back with a disbelieving look. If we weren't married and he hit me, it was assault. If he hurt me badly, it was attempted murder. And our families were equally powerful, he couldn't dare use his influence. So do you accept or not? Fine. Claude agreed with resignation. And this time, will you come home with me? I nodded. I had already gotten what I wanted. To keep playing hard to get would have been too much. That night, I said goodbye to my parents and left with Claude. Chapter 14. I never imagined pregnancy would be so unbearable. Nausea. Cramps. Swelling, but the worst was the emotional chaos. I swung from laughter to tears without control. Claude was so worn out he even lost weight. According to my mother, on the day our baby was born and they told him both mother and child were safe. That nearly 1.9-meter tall man broke down crying like a child. The most ironic thing was that after giving birth, I was perfectly fine. The one who sank into depression was him. One night I woke up to find him sitting on the bed, silently crying. As if it were routine, I got up, prepared him some water, handed him his medication, and coaxed him gently until he took it. During the first 2 months, we were practically glued together, which meant I hardly saw our daughter. Because every time he saw her, Claude couldn't stop crying. It seemed ridiculous, but it softened my heart all the same. Later, he gave our daughter a name, Felicia, wishing that everything in her life would go well. One day, I asked why he didn't give her his surname. He kissed me softly and said, because I didn't suffer. I didn't earn any merit in the pain or the effort. Go to sleep now. He wrapped his arm around me and turned off the bedside lamp. Tomorrow would be another day.